Preferred Equine Online has proven time and time again to be the industry's online provider, selling the highest price horses in all categories online, including racehorses, broodmares, yearlings, weanlings, and stallion shares. Full service, trusted and transparent. Contact Preferred for your online sales needs at www.preferredequineonline.com or call 914-773-7777.
Winback Farm, Delaware's #1 breeder, is home to outstanding stallions, including EL Platinum, who is a proven sire, multiple DSBF final winners. Also new in 2025 is Thunderously, a half-brother to O'Brien Award winner Resolve. Also standing is world champion He's Watching, winner of the Meadowlands Pace in 146-4. Nutcracker Sweet, half-brother to the award-winning Sweet Lou, and full brother to twice-millionaire Bettors Sweet, and Top Flight Angel, who has multiple stakes wins, including the prestigious Yonkers Trot. Also standing Classic Card Shark and Sports Column. For more information, visit winbackfarm.com.
Standardbred horse sales smashed records in 2024.
$1 million, thank you. $1 million, Emma, thank you. $850,000, thank you.
Make your plans for 2025, offering 3 days of the sport's top yearlings and the #1 mixed sale in the industry. Don't miss the Sale of Champions, November 3rd through 7th. Another spectacular year awaits. See you in Harrisburg.
Well, I'm here at Spring Garden Ranch today with Steve Elliott. We were lucky enough to catch you during your gin rummy game with Chuck Sylvester. How's the game going?
Chucky's kicking my butt like he always does.
It's got to be fun to have the camaraderie here at Spring Garden Ranch and hang out with all the guys.
Well, there's a lot of good people here. There are a whole lot of good horsemen here.
Well, you're a good horseman. You're a United States Harness Writers Trainer of the Year. You have developed great horses, Well Said, Donato Hanover, Valley Victory, to name a few. Went through your list with the USTAH, page after page of stakes win. Tell me about Valley Victory. Some would say he changed the breed.
He was a special horse. He had pace and horse speed for a trotting colt that was just wild speed. And once we got it harnessed where you could control it, he was just a good horse. And I think when he went to a sire, he threw the length and the toughness into him, which made him a very good sire.
This year you had Mirage Hanover down here, all winner, went on to have a fabulous year.
Yeah, probably the fastest colt I ever sat behind. I told Mr. Runick that when he was 2, just as I was sending him up north, I said, this is probably the fastest colt I ever sat behind. And he laughed at me, which most people do, but he proved me right.
That's a big compliment for him, considering Well Said was one of your great ones.
Yeah, I've had a lot of good horses. I mean, I've had a lot of great pacing fillies, pacing colts. I've been very fortunate to get the right halters come through my barn.
This year you have about $1 million, I believe, looking through on the sales prices just in your barn alone.
Yeah, it's a good thing they don't know what they cost, you know. It's put a lot of pressure on you if they knew what they cost, but it don't mean they're going to be good ones. You know, the good ones come from anywhere, and that's what's great about our business.
You have had great trotters, obviously, we just talked about them, but you have all pacers now in the stable.
Owners, you take what they give you or what they prefer. I'd rather train all trotters, but I'm not that fortunate. At least Chucky lets me go with some of his.
Well, that's great. You and Chuck Sylvester have a great relationship, and I see you out there training some of his sometimes as well.
Well, Chucky and your father-in-law are my idols.
Well, thank you. We're interviewing several stables here at Spring Garden Ranch this year. Whose 2-year-olds have caught your eye?
You know, honest to God, I feel bad saying it, but I only pay attention to mine and Chucky's. If you pay attention to yours, you don't have time to pay attention to everybody else's. You just wish them luck and hope everything goes their way, but I try not to watch other people's horses.
First horse up is Thoughtful Process, now named Fourbettor, a bettor's wish out of 4x4 Hanover, a $27,000 Lexington purchase.
Yeah, your daughter loved that one. She was mad because I bought that one. But he was a nice colt. He's small, but that goes with the better wishes. But he's very correct, and he paces very good. He's been in 25, as I've been around 25 to 28 with almost all of them. And so far, they all seem good, which is unusual. But you just hope they stay on that level.
Moving on to Cady Hill, a Bulldog Hanover first crop, $35,000 Harrisburg purchase. You were telling me you trained this horse free-legged the other day.
Yeah, well, he's trained free-legged every time I've trained him. Like, I tried to get him to pace. It took me forever. He wanted to trot. He's a big, gorgeous horse. I mean, just a gorgeous horse. And he's very big. And I was trying to make him pace instead of letting him do it on his own. One day I just said, you know what, leave the hobbles off. I took him off, smacked him in the rear, and here he goes. And I trained him in 30 free-legged the other day like he was walking. So he's really come around in a big way. I got a set of light hobbles or longer ones that'll fit him. And I'm just waiting to put them on him. He don't really need them, but eventually he will get the hobbles on.
Moving on to the Down by the Lakeside, big size, stride, love this horse, a Down by the Seaside out of Pure Paradise, a $50,000 Lexington purchase.
Yeah, you know Joe Sobracco, Mr. Sobracco bred him, and I had his brother last year, and he was a midget, but he could scat. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go look at this colt, and I looked at him, and he's very correct, and he's just a beautiful horse, and he likes to go. And I've had a few Seasides, and he's one of the smarter ones I've had.
Here's another Seaside, LBI, Ohio, Kentucky, New Jersey eligible, Down by the Seaside, out of your horse, so Miki Hanover. Concord stud, $125,000 Harrisburg purchase.
Yeah, he's a nice colt. You know, I thought when we bought him he was a little immature. I owned his mother and raced his mother, and I've raced a lot out of that family. You know, he's started to fill out. Like, I always thought he was a little slight in his shoulders, but now he's filled out, and he's a nice little colt. He's very quick, and I expect him to do pretty good things.
Do you feel like you come back to your families? I know the second dam had Stacia Hanover in it. As you said, you trained so Miki Hanover. Is that something that you're looking for?
Well, you know, not really, because my brother's a preacher. I don't get into that brother-sister stuff. It just gets you in trouble. But we had a lot of luck in that family. I had Seriously Hanover. I think I had 4 or 5 out of that mare. Just were all good racehorses. Very high speed, you know. They didn't pan out as good as we'd like some of them to. Stacy was on the smaller side, but could scat. She won the cane at the Meadowlands in 49. But it's a good family, even if you just look to have just a racehorse. I mean, it's a very good family.
Ayden Hanover, a Huntsville, New York, Kentucky eligible, out of American Charm. This colt is a $180,000 Lexington purchase.
He's a brother to Springsteen, good family and everything. And I told Rick when we bought him, I said, everything in the mare's had colt-wise is geldings, so plan on cutting him, but we haven't cut him yet. Very high-speed horse, as most Huntsvilles are. They have their quirks, but he's a very high-speed horse. He had a little sesamoiditis in a hind ankle, and we've been working on that. And when we x-rayed him the other day, it's almost 100% good now. So we'll just continue and hope everything goes good. I trained him today in 25, and he seemed real good.
What's the treatment for that? What have you found that works?
Well, when I had Sweet Reflection, she had sesamoiditis on all fours. 2 vets said she'd never race. She ended up runner-up for 2-year-old of the year and was 3-year-old of the year. And I just used skunk oil and DMSO, but I called everybody I know, and I couldn't get no skunk oil. So I put him on a regimen, just pumping the calcium to him, and it seemed to do the job.
So that's a supplement, the calcium?
Well, I get the calcium paste from Tractor Supply. And, you know, and I just started pumping it to him, and it really seemed like Doc said, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it because the thing's almost perfect.
Well, you may have just helped a lot of horsemen with that one. Moving through to Talbot Andretti, one of your sweet loos that you told me you really like, out of Hotspot Hanover, a $100,000 Harrisburg purchase.
Oh, he was funny. When we went to look at him at Harrisburg, you couldn't get near him. He was on his hind legs all through the sail part, and we took him back by the stall and put him up against the wall, and I just happened to hand him some hay, and while he was eating the hay, I got to look at him, and I loved him. And Mr. Rooney bought him, and I told him, I said, I think he's the best colt I got.
Steve, one thing about your horses is they are grinding on the end of every training mile that you have. They always look impressive finishing.
Well, we always try to teach our horses to finish. I mean, to me, in my mind, that's where we get the money. And you know, it's, you want them finishing. I know, like Ronnie trains his, they finish. A lot of Irv trains his, they finish. And a lot of top trainers, they teach them to finish. That, and the end result is that's where they get the money. And if you don't teach them, it's not something they're going to do on their own, most of them. You got to teach them to do that. And some guys think you're tough on horses, but basically you're teaching them how to become better horses.
Next, the other Sweet Lou, Funky Buddha, the Sweet Lou out of Double Deuce, a $50,000 Harrisburg purchase.
I love this horse. I told Rick was going to go pretty good on him because I really love this horse. And some guy come up to us, I don't know who the guy was, but he come up and said, oh, that horse got a broke bone, you can't buy that horse, you know. And Rick says, what do you think? I said, just buy the horse, you know, and we bought him. He has like a little sliver of bone outside the joint, which would never bother him unless you mess with it. If you leave it alone, it'll never bother him.
So it's something where you do believe in x-rays at the sale?
You know what? Yes and no. I mean, if you look hard enough, you're going to find something on all of them. And I think most of these babies have all been on the wheels anyway, so they're going to have more OCDs than usual. But it's their job to make them look good, and it's our job to find their faults.
Both Sweet Lou's, too, coincidentally, do not look like their sire, Sweet Lou.
No, they don't. And you know, I feel bad because Kenny Klein wanted to buy Sweet Lou, and he had two walleyes, two of them, and no matter where you stood, he was looking at you. And I mean, I love the horse, but I just couldn't get over them two eyes. And Kenny says, well, does that bother you? And I said, no, because usually they're just too stupid to stop. But that horse was just a very, very good horse, and Ronnie did a hell of a job with him.
Moving on to your Tall Dark Stranger, Nash, $30,000 Lexington purchase.
I was skeptical on Tall Dark Strangers, as most people are. I mean, he got the best mares, and they just, you know, like any sire, they can have a flat year, and hopefully the next year they bounce back. But this filly was actually over-aggressive when we first broke her. She wanted to go too much. Now she's settled down. She's controllable, great gaited, and she just loves her business.
Last, we're going to talk about Caravaggio, another Tall Dark Stranger colt, $50,000 from Harrisburg.
Mr. Runick fell in love with this horse when I showed him. I said, he's very correct. I said, conformation-wise, he's perfect. Looks-wise, he's perfect. Pedigree's good. I says, but he is a Tall Dark Stranger. And he said, don't worry about that. He said, you know, he's a big believer in horses. And when I showed him the horse, he just said, buy him. And I said, you know, I don't know what he's going to cost. And, you know, he got him for a real reasonable price for what he was, other than because he was a Tall Dark Stranger. But you know what? That horse was a good horse, and good horses can have any horses anytime. So hopefully it works out.
We've talked about partners who are there and have their confidence in you, where basically you want a horse and they say go for it.
Usually, you know, but I'm a big stickler on conformation. I'm tough on conformation. I turn down a lot of horses most people won't. And, you know, I want good pedigree, the best I can afford, but I'm not very forgiving on conformation. And as you can see, not many of my horses wear boots. So that's got to, usually when they get good conformation, they're going to stay sound.
What about consignments that you visit? I see you all over at every different consignment during the sales. What are you looking for from them, and what information do you value from them as well?
Well, most of them are sellers, so you can't listen to them. You know, you got to make up your own mind. We got to find the faults that they hide. And some of them are very, very good at it. I mean, very good at it. But it's if you do your homework, you know, a lot of owners stick with different pedigrees and stuff, you know, and some of them just, I have one out of that family, let's buy that one. And I try to explain to them, you don't want to do that unless you really love the horse. So, you know, we'll look at every consignment usually.
I understand you have different jurisdictions too. You're looking at New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky. You've got horses that can race anywhere.
I try to stick to Kentucky pretty much anymore. I spent a lot of years up east, but it seems like Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana right now is the new, what used to be Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. And when you're in Kentucky, you got a whole lot less shipping, and the money's very good. And I love racing at the Red Mile.
I know you stay here a little bit longer than some of the other stables. What does it look like? When will you leave here? Where will you go? What will your summer look like for these 2-year-olds?
Well, I'll send like the 3 Ontario breds. I'll send to Ontario. I got a couple Pennsylvania breds will head up. They'll go up to Jersey, out east, and race that way. And then the Kentucky ones, Ohio ones, I'll take to Kentucky, and I plan on going to Kentucky. And it's just, with Kentucky, they don't start to the end of June, so you can stay here a little longer and train on a mile clay track. So to me, it's an advantage.
Will you go to the Red Mile, or do you go to a farm near there? What's the plan that way?
We'll go to a farm first. The Red Mile don't open until July 1st. And once they open, we go there, and then you'll race. We raced at Oak Grove, we raced at Corbin after the Red Mile, so it worked out very good for us.
Steve, what older horses do we have to look forward to seeing from your stable this year?
Well, we left Mirage up north. They were thoughts of racing him in the Borgata, which I talked them out of, which thank God they did. And then I got Bourbon County and Boomerang coming back, just 2 3-year-olds that are Kentucky eligible. And then my other mare just turned 4. She's got the Kentucky Sires coming back. And she's not the top, but she's a real nice filly. She made almost 300 for me, and I own her, so she's one of my favorites. But, that's about it. Then I got the rest are all 2-year-olds.
As I said, your list of stakes accomplishments were impressive today when I was going through them. What advice do you have for someone young in the business starting out, or someone looking to branch into the 2-year-old game?
Well, good horses come from anywhere, and they don't know what they cost. And that's the great thing about our business. Anybody can hit a home run with any horse if you just have a little luck, and you got to have a lot of luck. It's a lot of guys, these young trainers think they make these horses. They're born, and if we do anything, the best thing I can tell any young guy is don't screw them up.
Thank you so much, Steve, for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.